Mkochonjo. So hello everybody, and good morning from Kenya. It is 11 a.m. here in Kenya, and we're ready to bring you baby elephants having their morning feed. We've got 12 baby elephants in the nursery at the moment, and if you're joining us now for the first time, we are at the Sheldrick Wildlife Trust, Nairobi Nursery, where we take care of orphan baby elephants and rhinos, and later on reintroducing them back into the wild. So all the babies you're going to see here today are orphans, and we've rescued them from different parts of the country, all having different reasons for being orphans. Some of them, the mothers have been killed by poachers due to trade in ivory. Some have been separated from their families by human beings, what we call human-wildlife conflict, and very few of them. The mothers have died from natural reasons like old age, natural diseases, and starvation back into the wild. And all this has happened to the mothers, so the babies are still very young, at an age where they would not have survived without the mother's milk, and also without protection against the dangers. So we have to rescue them and rear them here for approximately 3 years, and any time after the age of 3, start to reintroduce them back into the wild within Tsavo Conservation Area and Kibwezi Forest. We've got 3 reintroduction centers. 2 are based within Tsavo East National Park, northern part called Idumba Stockades and southern part called the Voi Stockades. We also have one in Kibwezi Forest, Umani Spring Stockades. We've got our keepers that will monitor the elephants within that period of being reintroduced, taking them out in the park and bringing them back at our base every evening until the time they make friends with the wild herds, who will invite them, who will train them, who will protect them, who will warn them against human beings, and so they will have become as wild as any other elephant out there. And when we see that happen, we can say we've achieved our target, because our main target here is to rescue them, rear them, and later on reintroducing them back into the wild. Here comes the elephants running in for the bottles. They know it is feeding time, and that's why they're in a hurry to come. The elephant making a lot of noise is called Naboishu, and that is his trend. He always likes to complain and make a lot of noise when he's running for his bottle. He's almost 2 years old. He was rescued from the Masai Mara. This was about 3 months ago, and the mother is believed to have died from a natural disease, and that's why he was left all alone. And being at a young age of below the age of 2, he could not have survived out in the wild, and that's why we had to rescue them. Sometimes incidents happen to the mothers. For example, the mother might die and the baby is left with the rest of the herd. Yes, the rest of the family members will help protect and care for the baby, but will not provide milk, which means in the long run, the young one will starve to death. So that is the reason to why we had to come in and ensure that Naboishu is rescued. You can tell she's got little tusks, he's got little tusks coming out, which means he's about 2 years old. The tusks of an elephant are part of their teeth. They are their incisors. They start to grow when an elephant is a year old and protrude outside when they are approaching the age of 2 years or slightly after the age of 2 years. He's getting 2 bottles every 3 hours, and in a full day he takes about 24 liters of milk. And when they're out in the wild, they feed or suckle the mothers very little but more often, and that makes a big amount in the long run. And when they come in the nursery for the first 1 year, we have to feed them on demand, just whenever they feel like. And after 1 year, we put them on 3 hours. And when they go to Tsavo, slowly by slowly, we change that to 6 hours to 12 hours until we stop the milk completely and let them rely entirely on vegetation. You can see he already knows how to use his trunk perfectly. He gets the water from the water hole and puts into the mouth. The trunk of an elephant is most sensitive part on their body. The trunk of an elephant alone has more than 40,000 different types of muscles. The trunk of an elephant is used as a hand as well as the nose. And that's why you can see Naboishu trying to suck water in the trunk, bending the trunk and blowing the water into the mouth. They can perfect to use the trunk after the age of 8 months. Before that, They're just learning and trying to get water and trying to pick a few things here and there. At the end of the trunk, we've got two tips that are very tiny that are used to collect tiny objects on the ground, like the small leaves and such like things. So that is how an elephant is in a position to use the trunk to suck water, to get greens, to cut greens and put in the mouth as well. Next to me, we've got Nabulu, who is the second oldest in the nursery, who is about 3 years old now. You can also look from the size of the tusks. And Nabulu was rescued from the Masai Mara. She was identified all alone when she was below the age of about a year old. She was very thin and very weak, very skinny, a sign that she had stayed for some time without her mother's milk. And you need to know that a young elephant needs the mother's milk for a minimum of about 2 years. Some will go up to 2.5, up to 3 years when they're still getting the mother's milk. And when the young babies start to develop the tusks, this is after the age of 2 years, the tusks start to pop the mother when they're trying to suckle, and the mother now prevents them from suckling. And that is why we say they take the mother's milk up to a minimum of 2 years. Nabulu was below a year old and all alone within the park without a herd of other elephants, which meant that she was an orphan and could not have survived. And that is the reason to why we had to come in and help rescue her. She's going to take water from the next water hole at the far end. She's only 3 years old and so far doing all right, being the second oldest, therefore assisting Maisha to be in charge or responsible of the rest of the herd. Next to me is the latest arrival that we've got in the nursery at the moment, an elephant by the name Dolorian. And Dolorian is approximately about 1.5 years old. She was also rescued from the Masai Mara. If you've been following her story, you can tell she was very thin and skinny when she came in because she had stayed for a very long time without the mother's milk. And at a young age of this elephant at the moment, they cannot survive on greens. So that's why she needed the mother's milk, and there was no mother to provide milk. And that's why she was very thin. But we are happy to note that she has been improving steadily. She has increasing weight every now and then, and she's growing fat and strong. And in a very short period, in another month or two, she'll be running up and down like the others. We are happy to note that she's learned how to use her trunk properly. She's about 1.5 years. She's perfecting everything, feeding on lots of greens when she's out in the park, which means she'll be able to survive and join the other wild herds. And next to me now is an elephant by the name Ziwadi. And Ziwadi is a 2-year-old elephant. Ziwadi was rescued from the Masai Mara. She was identified all alone and believed to have been abandoned or left behind by the rest of the family members for reasons we could not tell by then. But after some time in the nursery, we discovered that she's epileptic, and sometimes she goes into seizures. She wants to play with my hand. Sometimes she goes into seizures and she goes down and she's left behind by the rest of the family members. And we suspect that might have been the reason to why the rest of the family members are left behind. Right now, she's about 2 years. We put her on medication when she came in, and she's been improving steadily. She stayed for quite some good time without having the seizures, which means she's improving. And we are happy to note that. We are happy to note that by the time she'll be ready to go back into the wild, which is over the age of 3 years, she'll be strong enough to survive and stay a natural life. She's one elephant among all the 12 who likes to feed on greens most of the time. She's one elephant who does not go running for the milk like the others. She prefers the vegetation than the milk. That's why when they're out in Nairobi National Park, she will settle at one spot and wants to continuously feed and feed, while the others will be moving from one area to the other looking for varieties. Once she's satisfied with a variety that she's got, she'll stay there for even an hour or so just feeding on greens. Now we do have Rojo taking water from the water hole on my left, and Rojo is 1.5 years old. Rojo was rescued from Sava West National Park. The mother was suspected to have been killed by poachers, and that's why he was left alone. He's also believed to have seen all that happened to the mother and causing him to be left alone as an orphan. And that stressed him a lot and made him too much traumatized. They're all stressed and traumatized when they come in the nursery because they've lost their families. And this is because elephants are social animals, will stay in groups and families and maintain the families. And so losing one of the family members or losing a mother, it is like what happens in human beings. And so Rojo, having seen exactly what happened to the mother, was badly traumatized and stressed. And it took him quite a long time to actually come back to normal and accept that he does not have a mother and has to stay under the care of the other big guys in the nursery who are very responsible, who came in very handy and ensured that he is protected, he is cared for, he's nursed around, and the big guys have been following him all around, ensuring that he's okay. And he has become everyone's favorite among the matriarchs that we've got in the nursery at the moment, being led by Maisha as the main matriarch. He's the youngest boy that we've got in the nursery at the moment. And next to him, who is the biggest in size, Maisha, and Maisha is about over 3 years old. Maisha was rescued from Sava Conservation Area. She's one of the elephants who are affected by the long of drought that we encountered in the country. Sometimes due to climate change, we stay for longer periods without receiving rains, causing drought. There's no water, there's no vegetation, because without water, without rain, the vegetation will not grow. And so the animals rely on the vegetations a lot, and so most of them will starve out there because they have nothing to feed on. And in similar cases, you realize that the mothers will end up dying fast before the young ones because the little babies rely on the mother's milk and keep on suckling the mother every now and then until the last moment, until they get the last drop from the mother. And that makes the mother to be with nothing totally. And that's why Maisha was left as an orphan. She's about over 3 years. She's the leader of all the 12 elephants that we've got in the nursery at the moment. And this is because by natural instinct, when they're out in the world, it is always the oldest female that automatically takes over the leadership role. You don't need to train them in order for that to happen. They don't need to vote to know who becomes the leader. Elephants have their own languages and will communicate, will understand one another, and will learn and know that so and so is the oldest female, and will all respect the oldest female as the leader of the group. You can see Rojo lying down on the ground in the dust, standing up, following up on Maisha, the mother. We do have Maktau dusting himself, and Maktau is 2.5 years old. Maktau was rescued from Sava Conservation Area, a place called Maktau. Just remind again, we named them after the place we found them or reasons that have caused them to be left orphans. And that's why the names have got a relation with an area or with something significant within the area, and the bit tribal to some, because the names of the area are tribal with the people around the area. This is why Maktau is called Maktau after the place was rescued in Sava West National Park. He's a victim of human-wildlife conflict. He was found in a community all alone while at the age of about 3 months, which is not normal. Being found in a community suspects that what caused him to be left an orphan must have involved human beings. And being at the age of 3 months meant that he could not have survived without the mother's milk. And that is why there was need for him to be rescued. He's now 2.5 years and the second oldest boy in the nursery after Kiombo. Then Kiombo next to me trying to dust himself, actually trying to have a shower, a mud bath, trying to spray the water on his body. And Kiombo is slightly over 2.5 years. Kiombo was rescued from the Masai Mara also identified all alone within the park. It is not very hot enough for them to roll in the mud. It is a mixture of a little bit of some sun and some cold breeze coming in, and that's why they are not interested in getting in. They're getting it a little bit from the edges. But if we get more sun, they might all go in and start enjoying the mud. We provide the mud and let them roll in the mud if they want to. And it is very important for them because the body covered in the mud protects them from being bitten by some insects and from direct being bitten by and from direct sunshine as well, despite it being fun for them. They enjoy doing it so much at the same time. There goes in Nabulu, introducing everybody else to the waterhole. Nabulu is the second oldest in the nursery at 3 years old. We've got Laro behind Nabulu, who might be interested in getting in as well. The keepers assisting the elephants to get wet a little bit so that they can also go and roll in the dust to cover themselves in some dust as well. It is fun for them, as we've said. You can see Nabulu enjoying it all there, though at the edge, not getting in at the edge, but having a lot of fun. Once they get a little water on the body, the whole body feels itchy and they want to roll around, they want to itch around, and that's why you'll see them rolling in the dust at the same time, enjoying all the fun. Nabulu just enjoying it, being assisted by the keeper at the edge, not really wanting to get in directly. Laro lying down to enjoy the dust as well, together with Roho and Naleku on the other side, the two young ones. Naleku is the youngest we got in the nursery. We haven't talked about her today. She's about a year old, rescued from the Masai Mara after the mother had died from a natural disease. She was left to the company of an auntie who was protecting her, and this auntie already had her own baby that was breastfeeding, and so there was need for Naleku to be rescued, otherwise she could not have survived without milk. Covered in the dust is Laro on the ground. Mukoka at the far end, trying to hide away today from us. And Mukoka at the far end. You can easily tell Mukoka from the folded ears. All the elephants are different. We can tell them from character, from body shape, from texture of their skin. Very few of them have got little marks on the body, and we can easily tell them from the marks. But from the fact that we see them every day, we stay with them every day, we can tell them from a glance. Mukoka next to me now. And behind Mukoka is Maktau. Naleku and Roho sizing up. Naleku being young, very tough and determined. Rian scratching on the post at the far end. The three lying down, Laro, Roho, and Nabulu. So if you're joining us now, welcome. We are at the Sheldrick Wildlife Trust, Nairobi Nursery, where we take care of orphan baby elephants and rhinos, and later on reintroducing them back into the wild. They're all orphans, and that's why they're here. We've got 12 baby elephants in the nursery at the moment. We always don't have 12 baby elephants. The number keeps on changing every now and then, depending with the different reasons that are causing them to be left orphans. And after 3 years in the nursery, we start to reintroduce them back into the wild within Savo Conservation Area, where they'll stay with our keepers for another minimum of about 5 years. Some will stay up to about 8, 9, 10 years before they get adopted in a herd of wild elephants. We'll later on invite them in the families. Once they all get adopted, they'll be trained by the wild elephants on how to stay back into the wild naturally. They'll be protected against all other dangers out in the wild. They'll also be warned against human beings, because wild elephants know the human beings are a threat to them, which means all these babies you can see here now at some point will have become as wild as any other elephant out there. And when we see that happen, we can successfully say we've achieved our target, because our main target here is to rescue them, since they were found orphans, and read them, and later on reintroducing them back into the wild. We are happy to note that out of all the elephants that we've already reintroduced back into the wild, we've got about 35 newborn baby elephants that have been actually brought back at our base in Savo with or by our ex-orphans, to show the keepers that they've been out in the wild and they've given birth and they've come back to show the newborn wild babies. So that tells a lot of success in the process of reintroducing them back into the wild. And the Sheldrick Wildlife Trust does not only take care of elephants, rhinos, and reintroducing them. We do have other projects that we undertake. For example, we have got mobile veterinary units, we've got anti-poaching teams, we've got community projects, we've got the aerial surveillance, we've got the dog unit, and all that is working together with the Kenya Wildlife Service to ensure that all animals are safe within the parks. And that is why our anti-poaching teams have got the Kenya Wildlife Service rangers patrolling with them. Our mobile veterinary units have got the KWS vets working with them as well. We also have a community project that will go around the communities that are neighboring the parks and the reserves, especially within Savo Conservation Area, to educate the communities on how to behave and stay peacefully neighboring one another with these wild animals. The same community project will also go around the schools that are neighboring the park and the reserve, giving education to the children. When the children are still young in school, they need to learn that all animals are important and all animals have the right to life. And these animals need to be protected and cared for. And when the children are taught this when they're still young in school, we believe they'll be able to keep it in their minds, and when they're fully grown, they'll make good use of this knowledge and help protect and care for all animals in general. Nabulu enjoying being assisted by the keeper to have a dust bath. As I said before, we don't train these elephants on doing anything. We let them do what they want to do naturally, and that's why we set them out in Nairobi National Park. All the bushes around is part of Nairobi National Park. The elephants go out every day in the morning at 6, always accompanied by the keepers to provide assistance whenever needed. But they're set free in the park to do what they want. Some of them want to feed continuously, others might want to have a nap, others will want to play. The keepers will just observe and see the reaction and see what they're doing and let them do what they want. Most behaviors in elephants are instincts, but they just need direction. And that's why the keepers are there just to direct and let them learn, smelling on different types of vegetation, knowing what is the rightful plants for them to feed on and what is poisonous for them not to. So you might be interested in supporting the work that is being done by the Sheldrick Wildlife Trust. You are highly welcomed. You only need to go on our website and find out how you can donate. You can do that by adopting an elephant, which is costing a minimum fee of $50 a year. You can adopt an elephant for yourself or as a gift to a friend. And if you do it as a gift, it is a gift recipient that will receive the updates every month. But if you do it for yourself, it's you that will receive the updates every month. You also get a special watercolor painting, which is done by Angela Sheldrick. You'll also get a picture and profile of your elephant, including our newsletter. You will also get the keeper's diary, which is written on daily basis by different keepers, telling different stories from different orphans. And all that will be brought to your account on monthly basis online. So kindly go on our website and find out how you can donate and you can become a proud parent of a baby elephant from Kenya. You can also support the other projects that are being done by the Sheldrick Wildlife Trust, like the veterinary units, the anti-poaching teams, the community project, and all that will be ensuring that all animals are protected out in the world. So I'd like to take this opportunity and thank you all for joining us this morning. The elephants have already finished the milk. They've had some good time with the dust and the mud. We've realized they are ready to go back into the park. We will lead them out to spend the rest of the day out until at 5 in the evening when they come back for bed. Thank you very much for joining us. We believe and hope that you've enjoyed what we brought before you today. We shall continue to take care of them, continue to keep safe.